Oh my God, what did I get myself into? So the Cfmoto 675SR is probably one of the most controversial bikes on the market at the moment. Now, the standard exhaust that comes on this motorbike is actually not that bad. And I personally think Cfmoto has nailed it for being a standard exhaust. But with this brand new full titanium system from VANDEMON, this is gonna change how this bike sounds and performs. Let's start getting these fairings off and let's start removing the factory exhaust from the Cfmoto 675. Now, if you don't have swing arm spools like I do, I'd recommend having someone just to keep the bike stable while you're putting the rear stand on. Sit on the rear end of your bike and then like kind of hold it up while you get this kind of lined up. Once you've kind of like lined it up, hold the tension there and then like kind of swing around and then you can lift this bad boy up like that. So it's always a bit sketchy to do it by yourself. So I'm going to show you real quick how to take these fairings off. I know for the exhaust, you only have to do one side, but this will be helpful for you if you're trying to install a full exhaust system on this specific bike at home. Before you take any fairings off, you got to take this seat off, and there's two 5mm bolts just underneath this seat that you need to take off. The first fairing piece to come off is this fairing piece here, which a lot of Cfmoto 675SR owners say is probably one of the most fragile pieces to come off this bike. All right, with that screw out, we're gonna take this plastic piece off now. So a lot of people end up removing this fairing on the windshield pretty hard. I'm gonna show you what you need to do to make sure you don't snap this thing. What you wanna do is you wanna loosen it on the sides, pull like as if you're pulling towards you, because the clips are seated in like this, so you need to pull away from you. I'll show you what I mean. And then you lift it up, and there you go. Two main clips here and here are sitting right here, because they sit in like that. You need to make sure you're pulling against you, or away from you, I guess. All right, with that off, let's start removing the fairings on the exhaust side. Most of these fairings are just held in with Allen heads or Allen bolts and a couple of clips. You want to use a little bit of force to remove them, but don't go too hard on them because you might break them. And there you go, just like that. Now, there are some Allen bolts that you will need to take off on this fairing to be able to remove this fairing fully, but I will show you where all the fairing bolts are that you need to take off to make sure this piece comes off in one piece. So same thing, this thing is just held in with Allen head bolts. Majority of them are 5mm. This should just come straight out like that. We need to separate these fairings with this clip right here. Now, when you are separating the fairings, it is good to have someone next to you to catch the fairing when you fully remove it. There we go, and there you go, that's it. That was there as a placeholder just in case it did fall out. So we're just gonna undo this last one. And then it should come all the way out. And that's it. Now that we've removed all the fairings off the exhaust side of the bike, we're just gonna put them aside for now, and we're gonna start unbolting the exhaust. Before we start removing anything off the exhaust, we need to remove this rear set for the rear brake, and then there's two bolts, one here and one here, we need to take off to get access to remove the heat shield on the OEM exhaust. So yet again, these are just all Allen head bolts that you're gonna remove. Yeah. Ugh. I have a feeling that this rail needs to come off as well, so we might do this while we're here. Can you just come out? Thank you. So I think the first thing we're gonna do is remove the O2 sensor. This is where the O2 sensor is as well, so we might need to remove this first before we start taking these headers off. Okay, so with the O2 sensor removed, we're now gonna start removing the header bolts off this exhaust system. We're about to finish removing these headers. One last bolt to go. And I've done this with a swivel head on the top. I actually haven't had to remove the radiator, so there you go. All you need is a swivel head on the top end. Why does the last bolt always take the longest? It always happens. It's like a curse, you know? So now we're gonna move on to removing the exhaust bolts that hold the exhaust on the end. And I wanna show you how to do that as well, So looking at it, I think we've got one here and then there's one on the other side. And I think that's it, actually. I think it's literally just two bolts. There we go. Surely that comes out right. Yes, sir. Look at that thing. What do you think? How much do you reckon that weighs right now?
Probably like almost 10 kilos.
We'll get that stinky exhaust out of the way. So with the standard exhaust off, we now need to crack that O2 sensor out so we can put it inside a new one. I personally think that exhaust, that OEM exhaust, is about 8 to 10 kilo, easily 8 to 10 kilo. And it's so restrictive. I reckon there's gonna be a major difference just in weight and flickability as soon as we put on the new one. Oh, there we go, big man. Well, there you go. So make sure you guys use a 22 mil when you're taking this O2 out. Nah. In the baler it goes. So since the OEM exhaust is now gone, we are now gonna start putting together the brand new full titanium exhaust from VANDEMON, and we're gonna start with the headers first. This is the brand new full titanium system from VANDEMON that we are gonna install on the Cfmoto 675. I actually don't know what I'm doing. To be honest with you, I actually don't know. I have kind of an idea of how to put this together, but I kind of don't. We're just gonna have to find out. I have no idea, but we're just gonna do it as we go ahead. So, all right, so we're gonna start with the headers first. Wow, they actually show you and actually tell you where these are supposed to go. Shout out VANDEMON for all. You guys are amazing. This one is number 3, I think. Yeah, number 3. Yes, sir. Wow. Holy moly. That looks absolutely beautiful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start putting these header pipes into this part and just get it kind of mocked up, I guess. Maybe? Oh, this is ridiculous. I feel like I should probably be doing this in order from 1 to 2, then 3. So just guessing. All right, guys, I think I got it down right. So I think what you have to do is line up these numbers to match where they go. And I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So now we're gonna move on and we're gonna start putting these headers back into the bike and see how they fit. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I'm pretty sure VANDEMON doesn't supply you with new header bolts for the new exhaust. I'm pretty sure you have to put back the OEM header bolts that go onto the standard exhaust. So, and before we do that, we're gonna put in our O2 sensor. So we're gonna make sure we put some anti-seize on the O2 sensor, so the next time we have to take it out, it's not as hard. We're gonna start putting these headers back on now. So we're gonna line these up, and then we're just gonna do these header brackets up loosely. I've given you a lot of thread on that too. Oh, is it on? Yeah, GG. All right, now we can probably tighten that up, but just do it all evenly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. All right, so with the header bolts now on there just loose, we're now gonna start just hand tightening everything. We don't wanna do it up completely tight yet. We just wanna make sure that it's hand tight so we can just move it around if we need to. So just gonna use a long extension again and we're gonna start hand tightening these bolts up. All right, guys, now just with the headers hand tight against the engine, we're just gonna leave this here and we're gonna come back tomorrow because it is starting to turn a bit dark. And with the power of editing, you guys won't have to wait another day because we'll be in the next day in a couple of seconds, so. All right, welcome back. It is the next day. Last night we ended up leaving it at doing the headers. And today we are gonna start putting the midsection back in and we're gonna start putting the muffler back in and finish this exhaust system. I forgot to mention as well, when you do buy this exhaust system, there will be a black bracket that sits just behind this rear set that bolts directly into the back of this rear set. These mounting brackets here and here, they will line up with how the OEM exhaust was holding on with these 2 brackets here and here on either side. You might need to fiddle with it a little bit to get it completely lined up how you want it. So it should be like that. All right, so what I ended up doing was using the OEM bolts that held the factory exhaust in, stepped up washers as well. This is probably not the way that they want it to be installed, but I can't think of a different way to put it in, you know? All right, so since the donut link pipe is now put together and is now hand tight, we're gonna start moving on to putting the exhaust clamps on, the springs on, and then the last thing will be the muffler. So with this, we have 2 washers and a nut. So we should have. We're just gonna do this up loosely. So now we're just gonna do the springs up for the headers to the midsection. Put that O2 sensor back in. That's one thing I forgot to do. All right, so with the springs back on the headers and the O2 sensor plugged back in, it is now time to just double check everything and make sure everything is hand tight and make sure everything is tight before we start this thing because this is gonna be loud. All right, guys, this is the moment you've been waiting for, and honestly, I am a little bit scared myself. I got this really bad sinking feeling in my chest that it's going to be overwhelmingly loud, but there's only one way to find out, so I hope you're excited. And we'll set the camera up and we'll do the first ever cold start on the brand new VANDEMON exhaust system. In 3, 2, 1. That is ridiculous. That does not sound like a triple at all. That sounds way deeper than I imagined. All right, so we're gonna start doing everything up. We're gonna do everything tight, double check everything to make sure there's no leaks, no exhaust leaks, nothing. And we'll go from there. There's probably a way to install this exhaust properly, but I feel like what I've done is probably the closest you'll get to installing it correctly. So I'm not gonna show you guys how to put these fairings back on because we've already taken them off. So we're gonna put the fairings back on and put the carbon piece back on, and I will see you guys in the next clip. Okay guys, so with this carbon cover, you get 2 little tabs that you need to push in. So you got one there and one there. So what I did was I just pushed these in and I used a supplied screw and a spanner on the back to hold this while I used a screw to push this through so it would sit inside of this carbon piece for both sides. Should be like that and that. I don't know how this is, if this is supposed to be how it's supposed to be, so I'm just kind of having a guess in where it's going, so you know, I'm just kind of winging it at this point. So I've ran into an issue with the carbon cover hitting this, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip this around and put it on the other side. That's way better, see? So we have no gaps now, completely flush against everything. When you're putting this exhaust clamp on, make sure it's facing this way so you have some good clearance when it comes to putting on the carbon fiber cover. All right guys, we have put the carbon fiber cover on for the exhaust. I have shown you how I did it my way. That's just how it's worked for me personally, and it's holding up pretty all right. We're gonna start putting the fairings back on now and go from there. All right guys, she is finally complete. The full exhaust system is now installed on the 675. It is now time to do probably the worst thing for my ears, but I gotta do it for you guys. So we're gonna start this thing up. I'm gonna give you a couple of revs to see what this thing sounds like. So what do you guys think about the brand new exhaust? I think it sounds absolutely the part and it looks the part as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Catch us later.